Hello everybody, this is Jasmina, and in this video I'm going to talk about the snake years, houses that have special formations in the flying star chart that are created by the incoming annual star. And that this year, the snake year, starts on February 3rd of this year. Now, when this occurs, when you get a special formation that comes from an annual chart, sometime you already have one in your house and it's activated. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But this year, if you have this, it's a really, really good year to start a big project, maybe start opening a business, or at least doing the planning for it. Hopefully you would actually open it too. But it could be also finding a better job, any other big life change, something that takes more than like a day or two to do. This is something that you can do because your house has a lot of really good energy. And when this happens, all the negative flying stars in your chart actually become positive. And this is why it's so powerful. It basically makes your entire house good for that one single year. Now, if you are living in a house, especially a freestanding house, and probably also true for a duplex, you're going to receive 100% of that special formation energy, and each half of the duplex does. So it's almost like two separate houses. For apartments or condos, you're going to receive a portion of the energy. And this is based on the buildings facing, not your unit facing. That's very, very important. And now how much you're going to receive will depend on how many units are in your building. So you take 100% and divide it by the number of apartments, and that tells you what percentage of the energy you'll receive. So if you have 100 apartments in your place, you're not going to receive a bit. I mean, not a lot. It'll be 1% of that total, but it's still better than nothing. Now, the best thing about the annual special formations is time activates this. So we don't worry about external landforms. For most of the permanent special formations, you do have to worry about landforms. There's one that doesn't require it, all the rest do. So that is the nice thing about this. You don't have to worry about landforms, and you just use the energy that's there. Now, all buildings with a definitive facing direction have at least one permanent special formation. And by definitive facing direction, I mean it's not facing a dividing line between two different feng shui charts. So between like South 3 and Southwest 1, you would have a line between those two. You don't want to face that direction because your building doesn't know which one it is. And the other would be like between 2 and 3. 1 and 2. So like South 1 and South 2 have different flying star charts, and that's the same for all the directions. Southwest 1, Southwest 2 also, and so forth. So as long as you actually know which direction you're facing, you have at least one permanent special formation available to you. Whether or not it's activated is the real question. These permanent special formations must be activated to be effective. And most of the time, like I said, all but one of the 6 requires landforms, and that 6th one requires a restriction on the way your building is built, in terms of it must be rectangular or square, and no missing sectors. So that one is the easiest one to get, but still, it is. There are a lot of places that don't qualify just because of this. Annual special formations are activated by time, so you don't have to worry about anything, and we don't care whether your permanent one is activated or not. It still will be activated during this time, and it makes all your stars everywhere in your house for that 1 year, just as if you had a permanent special formation that was activated. And so this is why it's so great, and this is why you can make really great strides in that 1 year. And exactly where in your life you can will depend on the formation, which you'll see in just a little bit. Now, the most common annual special formation is either the base facing or the base sitting combo 10. Now, this is the one that would require you to have a rectangular or square house. And it will be weakened even in the annual form if you have a missing sector. But it's still, as long as you got some piece of that sector, you should be okay. But an L-shaped building generally cannot use this because you're going to have more than one missing sector. So, and we're talking, not just a little L, but a rather large L shape. Now, there also are pearl and parent string formations available as special formations from the annual stars, but they are rarer and they're more powerful because they are good for everything. Whereas the combo 10, it'll depend whether it's a facing or sitting, what it's good for. So I have 2 videos that will show you exactly what's going on, what possible permanent formation that you have, and also how to activate it. So this is important if you haven't done this already. Now, I'm going to cover all periods, but I will say this, a period 1 house all the way through period 4 house, those houses rarely still exist. Even if they were first built then, there's been enough changes and enough things going on that they usually will change the period of the house. And period 5 houses are becoming rarer too, because oftentimes, by this time they're starting to get really run down and oftentimes abandoned for a while. Now, there are ways to change the period, and this is why you'll see these aren't very likely to exist. A re-roofing, and here we're down to the rafters because these houses didn't have trusses back then. This is where all that flat boards are gone, and you can see the sky, and it's the whole living spaces area all at once has the roof taken away. That will change the period, and that's because you've actually opened up the entire building effectively to the sky. So that changes the heaven aspect, and that will change the period. Inheritance and foreclosures also often lead to a change in period. Unless a person is actually living at the house who inherits it, then usually the house will change its period, because it usually takes more than 90 days to get this all done, especially foreclosures. So, but any unoccupied 90-day periods will also change the period. So older people who, we call them snowbirds, they go to, at least in the United States, they go to the south in the winter. So, and then they go back quite far north in the summer. Well, they're gone for 90 days. And unless somebody's living there while they're gone, their house will change a period. And that means they now probably have a period 9 house. So here is the first half of the table. You will note these are all subsector 1s. So this is South 1, not South 2 and 3, but just South 1. And we have 2 periods, which again, these houses probably don't exist, but one's base sitting, the other's base facing. This is quite normal. And if it's a base sitting, it will help with your health and relationships. If it's a base facing, it's wealth and career. So that is the restriction here. Now, a Southwest 1 facing house of period 5, again, may not be very common. It actually has the base sitting combo 10. The West is quite interesting. Unfortunately, this is a period 1 house, not likely to exist, but it has a very strong pearl string. Pearl string is a lot stronger than combo 10, and it's good for anything. So it's health, career, relationships, wealth, it doesn't matter. It's good for anything. And West 1 also has a period 6 house, If it still stayed a period 6 house, then you've got the base facing, which is great for like starting a new business. A side gig is what I'm thinking of. But it could be a business if you're really ready, a full-time business. And then we have Northwest 1. There is a fairly decent chance you have a period 7 house is still period 7, but we also have the possibility of a period 9 house gaining an extra thing this year. And if it's these two, it will be the base facing combo. Again, great for money, but we actually have the pearl string here. This, if you just moved into a new house this year or after February 4th of last year, you will have a big boost this year because you'll be a period 9 house and you have this pearl string. Now, again, it also applies to period 1, but these houses are way over 100 years old, and it's very unlikely they're still haven't had something to change that. And then we have the 2 in the north. It's like the south, and this is very common, and they often flip. This is just the way the numbers work. And so we have the base facing and base sitting, so it flips it. Now again, these aren't terribly likely to exist, but maybe you're lucky and you have one of these. So now we have Northeast. Now, despite the fact that the 5 yellow has entered the Northeast, that doesn't mean that this house can't be good. And this would be a base facing combo 10. So that's, again, really good for wealth and career. So this could still be a really good year if you're, even though you've got the 5 yellow there, effectively it has turned much more positive. Now you still have the 5 yellow there that still needs treatment, but the annual and month stars aren't so nasty there because you have this special formation. Now again, you do want to have no missing sectors. That will absolutely ensure it, but you don't have to have a perfectly square or rectangular house. Small bump outs or insets are okay. L-shaped houses tend to have real problems and can't really do this. Now we have also East 1. East 1, well, unfortunately, these two are very old houses, unlikely to exist, but they have some real possibilities. Period 6 house could well still be in existence, and that you have the base sitting. So this one is good for health and relationships, and sometimes that's the real problem. And if this is a house you've been in a long time, it might be the year to start worrying more about your health because you can do something about it. And then we finally have the Southeast 1. Again, these unfortunately are probably not going to be in existence, but they do have a pearl string. We have a base sitting combo 10 in period 7, and we have a base facing in period 9. So if it's a new house or a house that you know has not been occupied for 90 days, then you will have this. And you will have whatever other possibility, of course. All these other houses have permanent formations. Whether or not they're activated is another question. Now, if you're lucky enough to have one of these, like let's say the Southeast one here, it doesn't do you any good unless you use this energy. So you need to work hard this year and you'll be rewarded. It's just like having a activated special formation permanently. If you don't use it in the house, you don't get any reward. That's just the way feng shui works. You have to put in the effort. But if you have one of these, you'll be rewarded this particular year. So this is why I'm doing this, because this is something that I don't want anybody to miss if they're lucky enough to have one of these formations. Now, remember, the annual formations do not need landform activation to be effective for that single year. And that's the real advantage of these guys, because there are a lot of houses, well, in fact, most houses have a possibility of a permanent formation. They're just not able to activate it, largely because they don't have a mountain, hill, or higher ground in the right location. Water can be added, But of course, if you're renting, you can't usually have a very hard time doing that. But otherwise, you you have a chance of doing this, having really good energy and really working on it, and not you don't have to worry about what happens with your landforms. So this is one reason I love the annual formations. They really, really help. Now, if you desire to change your house to a period 9, make sure that the house as a period 9 is better, the formation is better than what your house currently has. Period 9 houses have some really powerful ones, but only half the houses can easily take advantage of that because of the way the stars are aligned or arranged. But it's very, very possible that your current house has a better formation. Not all will, some won't. So you have to know what you have. Now, changing a period, if you're interested, only requires one of the following things. Either this is no persons in the house for 90 consecutive days. If you are a snowbird where you spend half the time in warm climate, half the time in your original house's climate, which is usually nicer in the summer, then you've probably changed your house already to period 9. And any addition or even removal of 1/3 of the total interior square footage of the house. This does not include the garage. And if you were to add a garage on that, and it's off the side of the house, that also does not change the period, because that's not living space. And that it's the living space that gets counted when you're looking at the house plan. So garages normally don't count unless they're like part of the outline anyway. I have videos that help with this if you're really confused. A new roof will also do this. And we don't mean just like putting on new shingles. We're taking off all the decking, all the boards, so that you can see the sky. And it's like off the, they usually, when they do this, they usually take everything off all at once, unless there's like a tree falls and it only damaged one little spot. Then they just fix that. That doesn't change it. That won't change the period. But usually what happens is at some point the roof just generally has so many problems that they have to remove the whole thing. And it's not worth it to pick and choose. And this is very important. If you like your current formation and you need a new roof, you have to make sure that the roofers do not remove all the decking at once. Now, they're not going to be happy because they like to just take everything off and then just put the new stuff on. You need to be there, or somebody responsible needs to be there, that they only take off half the roof decking, put on the new stuff, then they can take the other half off and then finish putting on the new stuff. Then they do their regular thing where they re-roof the whole surface. That is the shingles and the underlayment, the shingles, all that stuff, or whatever is your top surface. So that is how you can prevent your house from changing its period if you need a new roof. That is, there's enough damage that you really need to replace all kinds of stuff. That's it. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. If you want some charts for feng shui, you can of course get your Flying Star chart without my help, because it's available free so many places. But if you want your other charts, like your purple white and your Qi chart, I have them at a reasonable price at my coffee store. And if you have any other questions, you can email me here. But I would like to thank you guys for watching.